Monday, June 12th, 2023. To watch the City Council, you can watch it on Comcast Channel 27 or on YouTube at Daly City Video Meetings, or on the web at www.dalycity.org/agendas. There are also two ways to submit public comment. One is to submit written comments by the meeting day, and second, to attend the meeting in person. Please join me by rising and saying the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Ms. DiGiovanni, she called me today and said she wouldn't be in. Dr. Rod?
Present.
Ms. Manalo?
Present.
Mr. Sylvester?
Glenn Sylvester, present.
And Mr. Buenaventura?
Present. All right, let's go on to item number 1, which is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of May 22nd, 2023. Any modifications or corrections? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of May 22nd?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Objection, hearing none, those minutes are approved. Let's go on to the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve agenda.
Glenn Sylvester, second.
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor of the agenda, say aye.
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 Any objection? Hearing none, the agenda is now approved. Going on to public appearances, oral communications, we have, I'm sure we have several speakers. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. And also important to note that the council cannot take any action on any matter raised on this item. All right, we have our first speaker of Christine Fuller. Ms. Fuller, you have 2 minutes. Good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Buenaventura, Vice Mayor Manalo, Council Members Sylvester, Dasmag-Boal, DiGiovanni, City Manager Piccolati, and Ms. Zimmerman. Tonight I'd like to read my personal and professional recommendation letter for Acting Chief Cameron Christensen to be chosen as our next Chief of Daly City Police. During his outstanding tenure for the last 19 years with the Daly City Police Department, he's proven himself as an excellent police officer to the highest regard. It is admirable to witness his rise through the ranks, achieving exceptional accolades as in his biography. To achieve such high standard, it takes patience, leadership, capability, dedication, and so much more that I believe he has earned that will continue to thrive if selected as chief. Cameron is highly articulate, thoughtful, and intelligent man who is esteemed by his peers at the Daly City Police Department as well as by the community he serves. Cameron has undertaken the responsibilities of day-to-day operations successfully per unsolicited feedback with the utmost professionalism. He is highly organized, proliferates phenomenal communications and listening skills, accountability, caring, and he is supportive. Over the past year and a half as acting chief, he has navigated through some difficult changes with the city of Daly City. To mention a few, and alongside the city management and staff, loss of significant leadership in the Daly City Police Department, a chief and 2 captains, faced with the most severe staffing shortages ever experienced in 2022, reduced command staff, vacant positions, new promotions, etc. If not selected, my fear is the rank and file may leave, creating a further detriment to the city of Daly City. During Cameron's cadence as acting chief, he's hired within the community, ensuring diversity and connection with the community, ensured training that reflects the needs of the community, building relationships with leaders from the Pacific Islands Together, Filipino Bahanian Resource Center, Faith in Action, NAACP, and the Lions Club. May I go on? A positive shift has been recognized with the community members through Daly City Police Department engagements, one of a multifaceted level of growth involving creativity, innovation, and empowerment of others as a collaborative approach towards success. Social media presence has increased, recruitment efforts are improving, and they are growing the Explorer program to engage our youth. They are conducting planned outreach events with schools and the community, creating programs towards awareness, safety, and I'm hopeful that these future-forward projects in community with the Daly City Police Department, created by Acting Chief Cameron Christensen, will further improve the lives of all who reside here in Daly City. Thank you for the minutes of exceptional time, and thank you, Acting Chief Cameron Christensen. Thank you.
Ms. Fuller. All right, I have Rudy, is it Rudy Bonilla from Faith in Action? Mr. Bonilla?
Yes.
Come on up, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I was supposed to be here with the other members of this organization, and I'm the one who brought up, that I received a letter saying that we're going to get increased on our water bill, and that kind of made me 1 to 10. And one of the reasons I'm here.
Oh, I'm
is to
sorry, you
protest-
wanted to speak on number 14.
Yes.
Okay, why don't we hold off on your comments until we get on that?
All right.
I thought you were on
Sounds good.
public comment. Thank you for coming. All right, then we have additional public comments. Let me start with Jeff Templin.
Okay, good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Jeff Templin. I'm a second-generation Daly City employee of over 15 years who loves being a civil servant and serving the city that changed my life as a young kid. The same city that paid my single mom enough to support my brother and myself, unfortunately hasn't done the same for my family. I stand before you asking on help getting our contract resolved. The 5 of you have always touted yourself as for the working people. Yet when it comes to AFSCME, your lowest paid bargaining unit, time and time again, your actions show different. First, you voted to give yourself a 56% raise, 4% going back to 2008, while during the same span, we received only 21% wage increase. During your time as elected officials, you've approved pay increases for management that pay the majority of them in the top 5 to 10% down in San Mateo County. Now let's talk about AFSCME. Most of our members are paid below median average in San Mateo County. We have members that qualify for government assistance, some Section 8 housing. Many of us live paycheck to paycheck, have outrageous commutes to get to work because we can't afford to live in the city we work for. We are the face of the city, the backs that keep it up and moving, yet we are the only bargaining unit who doesn't get a paid percentage for their CERT pay. You pay other groups to eat lunch, you pay some people to sleep, but when we ask for a 4-day work week or CERT pay as a percentage, it's something the city refuses to even talk about or negotiate. Why do you value other groups more than us? In closing, I ask you to finally show us that we aren't taken for granted and you value the work we do. Pay your employees a fair wage so they can put food on their table and pay bills. Help create a fair work-life balance that would mutually benefit the city and its employees. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Templin. Nicholas Crescini? Nicholas Crescini? I'm sorry if I said that.
Crescenzi.
Sorry, sir.
It's okay. Hello, my name is Nicholas Crescenzi. I am a 7-year employee here in Daly City working in the Parks Maintenance section. I'm here today to talk about our contract and ask for your help in creating a equitable workplace with a work-life balance that is beneficial to both the employees as well as the city. We come here, we work hard, we do the work of the city. It takes many people in the city to get the job done. If it was one person, the city would hire one person to do every job in the city. But it takes many different job classifications to do the work of the city and providing the services that our citizenry values. The city says that they treat all employees the same, but in our current negotiations, you are offering us less than you have offered other groups. We ask that you provide the same. In the last 3 contract negotiations, the city has provided our work group less than they have provided other groups. We are asking to be treated the same as the other groups in the city, which includes yourselves and other in whole. Also, the city we are fighting for equity adjustment for the lowest paid workers. The current city manager's position is being paid an additional 5.3 something percent over the previous position. If it was to be promoted in line with the all other bargaining units of 4%, that additional 1.3% could do an equity adjustment of 2% for the 2 lowest paid positions in the city at their top step, and still have additional funds available for other uses. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate you listening.
Thank you, sir. Joshua Reese, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, go ahead.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I apologize, but the machine is not working, so I'm going to say, if it's okay, time when
Yeah,
the 2 minutes is
Of
up.
course, thank you. Oh, there you go. All right, let's see, who we have next? Joshua Reese.
Hi, Council. My name's Joshua Reese, and I've been a librarian for the Daly City Public Library for over 21 years, where I currently oversee cataloging and collection services. I have been an ASME union steward and on the negotiation team since 2006. I regularly hear from fellow city employees about how financially difficult it is for them to continue working for the city of Daly City, and that many job applicants look elsewhere because of the low pay. Since our wages aren't keeping up with inflation, it's harder and harder for our low-paid ASME members to make ends meet. We deserve fair pay that keeps up with the cost of living. Daly City's COLAs have lagged 24.5% behind Bay Area inflation since 2005, which is an average effective pay cut due to inflation of more than 20% over the last 17 years, about a negative 1.4% pay cut per year. On average, Daly City employees, including those in management, are paid over $134,000, while AFSCME members' salaries average $68,000. Some AFSCME members' wages are so low as to qualify for public assistance, such as Section 8 housing that library assistants and recreation service coordinators would qualify for because they make under $55,000 a year. AFSCME members work incredibly hard to make Daly City function. Library staff strive to meet the educational and informational needs of Daly City residents, providing computer assistance to those without online access and access to online government services, all with less staffing and resources than any other library or city on the peninsula. I'm asking the council to please support a fair contract with real wages, supplemental pay, and market adjustments for city employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Mills, Catherine Mills.
My name is Catherine Mills. I'm a library assistant too for Daly City and have worked here for over 17 years. I actually work 2 jobs within the library. In 2011, due to the recession, I took over the processing duties in addition to my work in circulation. It was not a higher position, so there was no raise to compensate for the extra work. I was told this would be temporary and my circulation position would be filled once the city recovered from the recession, 12 years ago. Now don't get me wrong, I love my job. I love processing new books, and I love hearing the excited giggles before story time. Even during the pandemic, we worked our tails off. AFSCME members were among the first to return to our buildings and to open to the public. I helped Recreation distribute boxes of food, mailed items to patrons in need of entertainment, and created online trivia programs to give patrons a way to socialize while staying home. The average rent in Daly City is $2,800 per month. That is more than 2/3 my take-home pay after 17 years, with hitting every pay step in place for my position. 2/3. We are told everyone is treated equally. For example, say we all get a 4% raise. Equal is not equitable. 4% does not stretch as far for $10 as it does for 100. ASHME is the only union to have certification pay at a dollar amount instead of a percentage, so it doesn't automatically increase with a raise. And when inflation is higher than said 4%, it hurts the lowest paid the most. AFSCME members are the lowest paid in the city. Our 4% does not stretch far enough. We are hurting. Some of our members make so little that they are technically living in poverty. Nobody chooses civil service for the money. We love our jobs and helping our community, and we forego bonuses and higher pay to do so. In exchange, we expect to be paid enough to live well. Without equity adjustments, the city is not holding up their end of the bargain. All we ask is to be treated fairly, equitably, and to have our needs taken care of. Thank you.
Rashenda Briones. Rashenda Briones. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Rashenda Briones, and I'm a library assistant for 35 years with the city. Every negotiations, the mantra has been, quote unquote, there is no money. And yet, throughout the years, we hear that managers, directors, councils get raises beyond the COLA rates. As your valued employee and ASME members, I want you to look and consider the current elements of our new contract. All I can say is that it'll be worth working for Daly City and very proud of working for Daly City if you can even consider our contract. It's not much, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Ina Magnini.
Hello.
Evening.
Hi, my name is Gina Maganini, and I am a Recreation Service Supervisor for the City of Daly City. I'm here because I love my department, and I love the people that I serve. I also love all the departments in this room. Our city facilities, streets, and water are clean, and we have amazing programs for our community that are served by our library and recreation programs. All we're asking is to be heard and acknowledged for our work with pay and time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Magnini. Ryan Shannon.
Evening.
Evening.
My name is Ryan Shannon. I'm president of ASME Local 829. I help represent thousands of ASME employees, both in public and private sector, all across the county. I'm also a county dispatcher for the last 20 years, so I'm familiar with the services that Daly City provides ever since their dispatch was outsourced to the county a few years ago. I'm here tonight in solidarity with my fellow Daly City ASME members to ask you to support a fair contract. Fair contract isn't very complicated as I see it. Bay Area inflation's spiraling. A fair contract to these members means fair pay increases that keep up with inflation and reward them for the hard work they've been doing. A fair contract also means work-life balance. And a 4-day work week would go a long way in showing that this body is a forward-thinking body that's going to make big changes and for your career. So these employees have earned it. It's not a matter of if they've earned it. It's a matter if you have the will to put your words into action. And I hope you do. Thank you.
Mike Burnfield. Mike Burnfield. Sir, Mike Burnfield?
He's
No?
actually on vacation, but he emailed me something, so I'm hoping I can read it.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name's Mike Burnfield. I work as an engineer 1 for Daly City. I've worked for Daly City for 2 years. Because our wages aren't keeping up with inflation, it's harder and harder to make ends meet. We deserve fair pay, including cert pay and equity adjustments, which keep up with the cost of living, as well as a work-life balance in the form of a 4-day work week. I'm asking this City Council to please support the fair contract with these elements to recognize the city's hardworking AFSCME employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Rod Palmquist. Rod Palmquist.
Hello, council members. My name is Rod Palmquist. I'm the business agent for AFSCME Local 829's 5,000 members throughout San Mateo County. AFSCME's members work on the front lines of the city, maintaining our parks, cleaning and maintaining our streets and sewers, running our recreation programs, staffing our libraries, cleaning and maintaining the city's buildings, inspecting construction sites, and much more critical work to help make Daly City function day in and day out. Over the last 17 years, Daly City AFSCME members are 24.5% behind Bay Area inflation. Our members can't keep up with the rising costs of living in the Bay Area. Our members are the lowest paid city workers, making on average $68,000 a year, while the entire Daly City average is over $134,000. There are Daly City directors who make more in percentage cert pay alone. I repeat, more in percentage cert pay alone, excluding their base annual pay, than AFSCME's lowest paid annual salaries. That is simply not right. The organized labor movement has always fought for working people and the betterment of society. That's why AFSCME is proposing a 4-day work week in the steps of union leaders who fought for an 8-hour day and 40 hours a week years ago. We need more work-life balance, and that's why we're pushing for a 4-day work week when workers first push for 40 hours per week. In 1914, the Ford Motor Company went to 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, a first at that time when workers worked 12 or more hours a day. Their profits more than doubled while they paid their workers more than double over 2 years. Be a leader in this critical national issue, and please make a lasting impact on not only Daly City's workforce, but workers beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palmquist. All right, that concludes our public comment portion of the agenda. And as a reminder, the council cannot take any action on any matter raised under this item. But thank you all for coming today and showing up and saying your piece. We appreciate it. Now let's go on to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that any council member wishes to pull? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Glenn Sylvester, I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any objection? Hearing none, the consent items are now approved. Let's go on to item number 13, which is our public hearings. Item number 13 is the public hearing on National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System regulatory fee. Director Chu is on staff to present. Director Chu, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening.
Evening.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Sabeli Calles, who will do the presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The item that you have before you tonight is in regards to the cuts. Staff is recommending that Council adopt a resolution maintaining the existing National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, known as NPDES, regulatory fee to fund some of the Daly City local program activities required under the Stormwater Management Plan, and also to authorize city manager to enter into a contract with the County of San Mateo for the collection of the NPDES local stormwater fee. A little bit of a background. In 2015, the San Francisco Water Quality Control Board, also known as the Water Board, issued a consolidated Bay Area Regional Municipal Stormwater Permit, MRP, that went into effect January 1st, 2016. Some of the conditions are in the RMP cover stormwater activities that are required by each municipality. The City and County Associations of Governments, or CCAG, continues to administer the general programs components which is required of each municipality. As part of the city's budget, staff anticipated the continuation of the fees that were established in 2015. There was an ordinance back in 1995, ordinance number 1219, that establishes the financing of a portion of the stormwater activities that are listed in the MRP in the San Mateo County Water Pollution Prevention Program. Public Works staff estimates that the local stormwater program operating cost for the year 2024 will be approximately $513,000. The fees were originally established and based on a parcel size and a land use. And as you can see on the staff report, there is a list of all the different fees that are associated to each parcel. The fees collected are estimated to generate about $475,000 in revenues, and those funds will be used to fund local stormwater program activities, and that will actually exceed the revenue that the city will be getting. With the future need to implement more green infrastructure type projects, an increase of the stormwater fee assessment will likely be required in the future. In the attachment that you have with your staff report, you can see the breakdown of the activities on how the expenditures are listed and what the revenue will be. Staff is available for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? No? Hearing no questions, can I get a motion to approve the item?
Glenn Sylvester, I'll gladly make the motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Can I get a roll call, please?
Dr. Rod?
Yes.
Ms. Manalo?
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester?
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura?
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go on to public hearing number 14, which is the adopt the proposed water rate adjustment. And we have Mr. Carter.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Green is on, correct? Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council. This item before you tonight, item 14, is a public hearing to adopt a resolution adjusting water rates over the next 5 years. Provided along with the staff report is the final Daly City water rates report, which was prepared by your Daly City staff and also financial consultants from Hilton, Farncoff, and Hobson, HF&H. As some background, the previous 5-year water rate structure was completed last fiscal year, and staff began the cost of service analysis and study this fiscal year for a new one. One thing to highlight is the work that was done in the previous rate structure, which strengthened the financial position of our water fund and provided for the rate structure that we are proposing tonight. It would adjust the rates while continuing to fund a significant capital program and also the ongoing operations and maintenance of the water system. As a matter of process, we provided the required 45 days for public protest and have received to date, I believe, 43 letters to date, which is less than the required 50% plus 1 to overturn the proposed rates. After the presentation, the council may open the public hearing for comments and other protests, if there are some tonight, and then close it. And the council, of course, may ask questions, provide comments, and ultimately provide direction. I would like to thank the city manager, the city attorney, the finance director, Department of Water and Wastewater Resources staff who is here tonight, and also the Water Subcommittee of Vice Mayor Manalo and Councilmember Dr. Rod. Thank you all for your assistance in putting this together. And so right now I'd like to pass this off for the presentation to John Farnkoff of Hilton, Farnkoff, and Hobson.
Okay. Hello, good evening.
I'll try to get through this presentation pretty quickly. If you have any questions along the way, please interrupt, but I think I can get through in about a little over 10 minutes or so. First, let me just quickly summarize what the rate-making objectives were in this round of rate-making. The city provides a very high level of water service here, and to do that, it requires a lot of infrastructure. It's a hilly topography, and so storage reservoirs, pipelines, treatment facilities, pump stations, and wells are all required to continue to provide that level of service. I beg your pardon?
Speak up a little.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Speak a little louder. A primary objective here is to continue to maintain and upgrade the infrastructure so that you can continue to provide a high level of service. All right. So another key objective here is to try to take advantage of the fact that the city has groundwater that is much less expensive to supply than the water that it purchases from the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, which is also not as reliable as the city's groundwater supply. So the providing capacity to pump the aquifers as well as to keep the aquifers full is an important part of the rate projections here. To fund all of this, we're looking at a combination of sources from rate revenue, also from the reserves, which have grown over time so that we could use them to moderate rate increases right now. And then finally, there are some very large capital investments that might require debt financing, which will help moderate the rate increases over time. As far as the rate structure itself is concerned, we looked at it, and it still looks to be in line with billing customers based on the cost of service. We looked at it in great detail back in 2018, and we can confirm that it's still in pretty good shape. So getting into now some of the details of the expenditures that these rates are designed to fund, and I should be, I've forgotten that I'm in control here. Let me, where do I point this, Josh? Okay, thank you. Right there. Let's talk about the revenue requirements. These are the expenditures that need to be funded from rate revenue. What you see here is a projection beginning with the current year, fiscal year 22-23, and then the 5 years that you see projected over time with those stacked bars that represent the major components of the expenditures. There is a solid black line there that shows the revenue with the rate increases, because you see that that dashed black line is not providing enough revenue over time. The largest colored bar in those stacked bars is the cost of water from the SFPUC, and that's a big focus here in these rate projections, is to try to keep those costs as low as possible. You still having trouble hearing me?
I think the louder the better. So.
Maybe I'll try this microphone. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. So what I want to point out with the stack bars here is that the SFPUC's cost of water is the single most largest cost category that you have, and that we're trying to keep as low as possible by improving the city's ability to meet its demands from groundwater pumpage. The other costs there are increasing gradually, as you see there, the personnel costs, operations. There is a kind of a light green color in there that represents debt service. You'll see that there is a bond that will be fully retired in the current year, a couple of years with no debt service, and then a potential bond kicking in the second to the last year for a significant capital improvement that's being projected. But overall, generating that revenue is what's built into these rate projections. What this graph shows here is the fund balance, and the fund balance is really sort of like the gas tank for the water fund. The solid green line represents where we see the fund balance going from the current fiscal year out over the next 5 years. And you see that it's close to $30 million. It's about $28 million in the current year. It was gotten to that level through a series of rate increases over the last 5 years. We wanted to get it there so that we could use that revenue now to help support the rate increases over the next 5 years. So you see the solid green line declining as we draw down the reserves, but at the same time gradually increase the rates. And you see those rate increases in the bottom line there, 4% per year. Approximately inflationary, maybe let's hope a little bit more than inflation. But they're less than they would otherwise have been if we did not have the reserves that we could draw down, which are being drawn down about $10 million over this 10-year period. That solid blue line is the minimum target balance that we would that we would recommend, and it represents a combination of working capital to pay for operation and maintenance expenses, as well as an average for your annual capital expenditures. We wouldn't want to see you go below that. That dashed red line shows what would happen if you didn't cut your expenditures and you didn't increase your rates. Basically, you would drop below that target balance, and we don't want to see that happen. We're using the reserves, and at the same time, we need to have these rate increases to maintain that solid green line rather than the red line. I want to focus just for a moment on the capital improvement program. This is really what these rate increases are providing ratepayers. This is what they get in return for those rate increases. And you see that over 70% of them are going towards storage reservoirs that maintain adequate pressure throughout the city's pressure zones, the production wells for pumping groundwater, the pipelines that are spread all over the city. There are more than a couple 100 miles that have to be maintained, and many of them are approaching or exceeding their service lives. And then booster pumps that just keep the water flowing throughout the system. That's a big part of the capital improvement program. It's averaging about $6.8 million per year. That's what the rates are being set for. It's also going to cover debt service, the remainder of that bond, plus this potential bond for the Citrus Pump Station, which is a significant expenditure, a significant investment, $40 million expenditure that because of its big lumpy capital requirement, we would recommend that you bond fund towards the end of this 5-year period. So that's what's anticipated in these rates, in the revenue increases. A little bit more in this debt service. You do have a 2012 refunding bond that will retire in this year. It'll be a couple of years with no debt service. And then the funding for the Citrus Pump Station, which is a significant groundwater pumping and also distribution storage facility. That would cook you in fiscal year 26-27 toward the end of this 5-year projection period. What we also want to point out is that after this 5-year period, the Vista Ground project may be coming online, and that will be a very significant capital improvement. The benefit that you'll be getting from that project is stormwater recapture. Basically, what it will be doing is taking the runoff from the Vista Ground Basin, which is over in the Broadmoor area, and is tributary to Lake Merced, and optimizing that as a supply. It will go into Lake Merced as much as is needed to recharge the groundwater basin. Any surplus will then be conveyed out to the ocean. It's a very important project for the city. It provides also wastewater and solid waste benefits too. Now, talking about just the rates themselves, city ratepayers are billed every other month on a bi-monthly basis. There are two components. There's a base charge. It's a fixed charge that's based on the size of the customer's meter. It recovers a portion of the fixed costs. The remainder of the fixed costs, plus all the variable costs, are recovered through the volume charge. That's based on metered water consumption during the billing period. The structure is tiered, and what that means is it's kind of a series of steps, and the more water a customer needs, the higher their demand. The effect of this tiered structure is that it aligns the costs of producing more water for those higher demands with the customers who produce that demand. This was a structure that was modified slightly 5 years ago. We looked at it again. It still is appropriate in charging customers their proportionate share of the costs. The rates you see right here, in the top part, you see the bi-monthly base charges. 90% of the city's customers are either 5/8 or 3/4 inch meters in the top two rows of that table. We're starting with the current charges there, and those are increasing over the 5-year period at 4% across the board. All of those charges are going up regardless of the size of the meter by 4%. Down below there, you see the volume charges, the unit charges, the tiered structure. There are 3 tiers there. The current charges will also increase 4% in each of the tiers. It's independent of the meter size, but still 4% increases throughout the projection period. The impact that these increases will have on some representative customers are shown here. We've got low users, average users, and high users. The low users are basically a third of an average customer. It's about 50 gallons a day or 400 cubic feet over a bi-monthly period. That's about enough water for one person without any irrigation. So that's very low water use. And you see that under the current rates, it's about $81.73. 4% increase on that would increase it to $85. That's a $3.27% increase, 4%. For an average customer, that would be 150 gallons per day, 1,200 cubic feet. You could think of that as maybe 3 people with no irrigation or 1 or 2 with some irrigation. But that is the average customer use here in Daly City. That bill would go from $136 up to $141, $5.45 increase, again 4%. I'll just note here that that's about a 9-cent per day increase. I don't mean to minimize the increase, but that's just what it boils down to for an average customer. For a high user, 2,400 cubic feet, that'd be 300 gallons per day. That's either a large household with some irrigation, or it could be commercial customers. And there you see their increase, $9.71, again 4%. How these bills compare with your neighbors here in San Mateo County is shown here. What you see here is a combination of the fixed charge, which is the darker portion of these bars, and the variable or the volume charge in the lighter color. You can see where Daly City stands in this ranking here with the blue bills going from the current charge at $136 for an average customer up to $141 with that 4% increase. You tend to see the larger cities, Daly City being the largest one in San Mateo, with lower rates. You get the advantage of economies of scale. Some of the higher bills up there are smaller agencies here in San Mateo County. I also want to point out that these are based on the rates that were in effect in March, and a number of these agencies will be increasing their rates also at the same time that you are. We just don't know what those are. Finally, just to summarize here, as I said, there are projected 4% annual rate increases each year over the next 5 years. Those relatively low rate increases combined with the use of $10 million in reserves will fund a fairly aggressive capital improvement program that is going to continue to improve the city's water supply, which in the long run is an investment that will hold your costs down if you can use more groundwater. And it's also going to lay a very strong foundation at the end of the 5 years to provide funding for the Vista Grande project. Additional funding will be needed for it, but the water fund will be in a very good position to do that at that time. We don't recommend any changes in the rate structure right now. It is based on the cost of service and will continue to charge customers in proportion to their use, which is the legal requirement. And then finally, there is an adjustment that might be made along the way here if the San Francisco PUC increases its water rates greater than what is built into the model right now that derive the rates that are being proposed. This is an adjustment that would be made only if there is an unforeseen increase in the SFPUC's rates. And this protects the city's reserves, which would otherwise take a hit if the SFPUC increased its costs. And the city really can't control what the SFPUC does. So this is a very important feature. And when rating agencies look at cities that are going after debt funding, this is an important, it's really getting a belt and suspenders approach to improving your financial position, and it will lower your financing costs. That concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Great.
Be happy to take them.
Any questions from the council? Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you for your presentation, sir. The questions that I have that I'm going to present to you, maybe Mr. Cosgrove can answer it, or yourself, sir. We received some letters from the community, and I've read all of them. And can we answer the question about conservation? Daly City has done an excellent job in conserving water, and our constituents feel that they're being penalized for conservation. Can we answer that question?
Sure, thank you,
Yeah.
Honorable Council Member. It is one of the things that does happen when our customers conserve water. It does mean that less revenue comes in. It is just part of the nature of how the water fund works. And unfortunately, conservation is needed. It is needed because we are in a severe drought. We are coming out of that drought, which is good, but unfortunately, that is what happens when people conserve. The revenue goes down, and what we do when we do a cost of service analysis is the numbers that are put together are simply what is needed to continue to maintain this system, and then perform the capital improvements so that we improve it into the next generation.
If I could add just a quick comment. Fortunately, because Daly City customers are extremely frugal users of water, they're helping keep costs down. These rate increases are not required because conservation has increased the cost of operations. So they're doing what they can to keep the city as efficient as possible and hold costs down as much as possible. But nonetheless, as Mr. Cosgrove said, costs still go up.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. So what I'm hearing is, had we had not been frugal, it probably would be paying more.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, thank you. What's the cause of brown water in the sinks and pipes, tubs?
It can be for different reasons. It can often be parts of our system that are old that need to be replaced. As water flows through it, there are deposits that can come off the pipe. Those are scheduled to be replaced, and we're doing that. So sometimes that's the problem. Sometimes the problem is the pipes inside of the house or an apartment building are old. And those also, again, there can be deposit buildup on the pipes, and typically that's the reason for the discoloration in water.
Well, since Daly City prides itself on great water, I'm just wondering, to mitigate that condition, and you made mention it could be the house, could be the old pipes, do you incorporate or have protocol to flush the pipes?
Yes, we do. We do flush the pipe, flush pipes throughout our system. We have that on a schedule that we perform. It was very difficult during the drought to do that because the way you flush the system, you do have to flush that excess water out. That was one of the challenges we had going through the drought. But yes, we do on a scheduled maintenance flush our system, yes.
Okay, and in light of that, who pays for the water to flush the pipes? Is that borne by the citizens, like say in a particular area for a whole block, and you flush the pipes that services the whole block? Who pays for that water?
The cost of that water is basically spread throughout the system to all the customers, is really how that works.
Thank you. What I didn't see in the chart, even though you alluded to it, was the cost of getting water from Hetch Hetchy. What I see is just a graph. Do we have any idea as to what the numbers and the increase of numbers, say for instance, you got a term here, HCF. So when you say you buy X number of gallons or whatever term you use from Hetch Hetchy over the years, so say in one particular year, you bought $3 million of water, which amounted to X number of cubic feet. Has the X number of cubic feet risen over the years? Or are we buying more water from San Francisco Hetch Hetchy?
As you go back in time, we were purchasing less water from the San Francisco Hetch Hetchy system because of the conservation, the great conservation that Daly City customers have done. Unfortunately, the cost of the San Francisco water has continued to rise. They've been spending billions of dollars to upgrade their system to bring the water from the Hetch Hetchy down into the Bay Area. In the water report that was attached along with the staff report, I'm looking at, I'm not sure what page this is, but we have, it's kind of small letters, but I'm going to try to read it here. We purchased, or we budgeted to purchase approximately $10 million from San Francisco in this current fiscal year. The next fiscal year, we're projecting $11.2 million. And because San Francisco is projecting their rates to remain, we're projecting to purchase that $11.2 million per year in San Francisco water.
All right, so to reiterate, we've purchased close to $10 million worth of water from San Francisco Hetch Hetchy, and due to the conservation efforts of our folks in Daly City, we're asking now more, or trying to budget for more, at $11.2 million, even after conservation.
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, San Francisco is raising their rates right now. They just did raise it for this fiscal year, I believe it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. On your new pump station, when is that due to go into operation?
It's a pump station that is currently operated. It's critical. It does have seismic vulnerabilities to it, and we will be going into design, I believe it's in the third or fourth year of this program to design the new pump station. And then, you know, a project like that would probably take a couple years to design and then 2-3 years to build. So we're probably looking at the next rate structure that would actually provide the funding for that project.
I had a couple more questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Where does the city of East Palo Alto, Menlo Park, and Estero Mid get their water from?
The East Palo Alto, I believe, is probably 100% Hetch Hetchy water.
Yes.
Whereas we're around 50%. Yeah, East Palo Alto, 100%. Menlo Park, I'm not sure if they have groundwater. They're probably...
No, they're entirely Hetch Hetchy, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're served, part of the city is served by the city and part of it is served by Cal Water.
And then Estero, is that Foster?
Yeah, Foster City, they're also 100% San Francisco.
Okay. According to your slide presentation, slide number 11, it's showing those cities as the bottom 3 cities with lower rates, and I'm trying to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges here. How do they maintain a lower rate than us, Daly City, to now consider raising our rates? I mean, I'm just wondering if we all get our water from the same place.
Well, about half of our water we pump out of the ground, so we have a different system than they do. So we have those pumping costs that we have to pay for. Again, I'm just kind of speculating. Menlo Park being right there near the heart of Silicon Valley, they may be receiving, you know, a decent amount of money for growth or businesses that need to use a lot of water.
No, that is true. Facebook, for example, has paid millions of dollars in capacity charges over recent years. Some of these others, it's a complicated question. It varies on a case-by-case basis, Councilmember Sylvester. In some cases, some of these agencies have some property tax funding that helps support their rates. I think, though, typically it's a combination of just where they are in their capital improvement cycle. If they have gone through a major wave of capital improvements and kind of gotten to a plateau, they might not be seeing their rates going up as much as a community that is in a more aggressive capital improvement mode. The agencies at the top here are all smaller agencies until you get to, well, Burlingame and Millbrae. Looking at some of these others, Cal Water, as you know, as a regulated utility, can have higher rates because of just how they're regulated. Mid-Peninsula, we know, is anticipating rate increases. Redwood City is a larger city, so they'll have lower rates. I know that East Palo Alto runs a very lean operation. I don't want to say they're underfunding their capital improvements, but they are just a different demographic.
All right, thank you so much. Based upon the statements that I've heard thus far, it leads me to believe that I think we are not doing enough, and that especially in the reporting of their such, I don't see any information here as to possible resources. All I'm seeing is revenue and expenditures. But I think for the citizens of Daly City, we should consider other resources, such, for instance, you mentioned East Palo Alto and Facebook. I would venture to say that maybe in the city of Fremont, which is not applicable to San Mateo County, you may have organizations such as Tesla who maybe provide some sort of funding or some sort of offset. I think we as a city need to at least consider that as well, instead of the doom and gloom of saying we are going to be under budget. Lastly, I'll make mention that according to your draft, which is slide number 5, it looks like we have some time before we reach the critical stage in 2025 and 2026 that we can possibly consider. So those are just my thoughts. Thank you very much. I have no further.
Madam Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think one page I want us to look at is the sample bi-monthly bill impact. If we can look at that, please. I just want some clarity in regards to this. So the average user, it says on here, it'll be 9 cents per day. The increase will be 9 cents per day.
That's right.
So if you calculate 9 cents times 30, how much is that, please?
$2.70.
How much? $3, around $3.
Yeah,
so it's going to be
$3.
an increase of $3 a month. And given that, I understand and I appreciate a lot of the community members that have spoke up about the increase that are on fixed incomes. My question is, are there programs for seniors that can't avail of that increase? That's my first question. And I know that in the past we did have support, and this was actually for the pandemic, around, I think, housing and utilities. I want to know if those resources are still available for our community members, those most especially in need. Because, there has been a handful of letters, and obviously people that have come in the audience today wouldn't have taken their time out of the day if this wasn't impactful for them. And so if you can respond to if there's any resources that can actually help. I think it's about I think, average $3 a month, if they can't even afford that, are there resources or programs that can assist?
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. There is a program, yes, the low-income household assistance program through the state. We have advertised it through the water bill and tried to help those that have asked about it to help them with it. But yes, there is that program that is still in effect.
What is the process for individuals in the audience and also watching on TV? What is the process to avail of those resources if, this increase is detrimental to them?
Yeah, well, there's a form that you need to fill out, and we're happy to help. Anthony Tofiga, Senior Management Analyst, could provide some more details on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Vice Mayor Manalo, the LIWAP program, which stands for the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program, it is run by the state to the end of the year. I have a website here that has all the details where potential low-income customers can go and fill out a form and they can get assistance through that vehicle. The website is csd.ca.gov/waterbill, WATERBILL. Again, that's csd.ca.gov/waterbill, WATERBILL.
And any customer can call us as well, and we're happy to try to help them complete that form. We have individuals that work for us that speak Spanish and speak Tagalog and Chinese. So our number, 650-991-8200, is also a good resource for people. We're happy to help them in completing that form.
Thank you so much. I think that resource is really vital for those community members that wrote in letters and are here present today. And so hopefully you hear of that resource to assist you in that endeavor. When I will speak for myself on the committee and also with my colleague, Rod Dasmagwal, when we saw that the increase is 9 cents per day, it was, about $3 a month. And so, but we understand that there are probably individuals that are in a fixed income, and that's why I asked about the program. There are programs in the state that mentioned from our staff that assist those that are low income, and hopefully you get connected with those resources. Thank you very much.
Dr. Rock.
Yes, I'd like to provide some historical context. Like, what was the prior increases that we've had before this proposed increase?
Thank you, Councilmember Dr. Rod. It was a 5-rate structure, and there was an initial increase of about 6.5%, and then 6 months later, it was 9.5%, and that was then the following 4 years, 9.5%.
Okay. So would you say that our increase of 4%, I would say, is it fair amount?
Yes, what staff and our financial consultants and as you know, being on the subcommittee, we really worked hard to propose a rate structure that would meet the needs of this community.
Okay.
No more, no less. And that's really what we're proposing, yes.
Right. Thank you, Josh. That's all that counts for me.
All right, thank you, Dr. Rod. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing on this item, starting with some speaker cards. The first speaker on this item is Rudy Bonilla. Mr. Bonilla.
Hi, my name is Rodolfo Bonilla. People know me by Rudy. I lived in Daly City for 4 years, a little more. And, now I'm retired. I do live in a fixed income. And I was very interested in to find out why we have to pay more. And then, and basically to protest that, our bill, I know now, talking to my wife, she's the one who pays it, it's around $90. So I figure, at the end of 5 years, it's gonna be close to 100 or so. And I think it's, I really think it's gonna hurt. There's not too many people who come here and speak up and say, that they not agree with it. But I figured that I felt like I needed to come here and hear what the reasons were. Gentlemen explained some of the reasons why. And just my concern is, that, what is it that is being done, to see that this doesn't happen, or if something like this can happen again. A lot of people, pretty sure they're moving out, they're moving to other places because it's getting too expensive. And, in our house, it's only 3 of us, and our bill is about $90. Even though we don't have irrigation and we save as much as we can, we're still paying, something that, we try to save, and we're still paying that much, so. And basically, that's what it is. I wanted to say it and be here just to hear, the things that they said, and I appreciate your time. I hope you consider, like something that can be done, that maybe ease it a little bit. I appreciate it on behalf of a lot of all the seniors that are here in Daly City. And hopefully we should stay, another 40 if I live that long, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonilla. Fred Vinson? Oh, he left, okay. Wendy Cruz?
Wendy will need interpretation, and we have an interpreter.
Okay, sure.
Hola, buenas noches.
Hi, good evening.
Mi nombre es Wendy Cruz.
My name is Wendy Cruz.
Y nuevamente me alegro verlos a cada uno de ustedes porque yo ya he estado varias veces aquí. Soy líder de Fe en Acción por 6 años y somos de las personas que ayudamos a la comunidad y somos también, estamos ahora hablando por 700 vecinos y especialmente por mí que tengo 18 años de vivir en Daly City y he sido un poco afectada con el recurso del agua.
It's good to see all of you here. I've been here before. I have lived in this area, and I'm a leader with Faith in Action, and I have been for 6 years. And I wanted to express, not just on my behalf, although I have been very much affected by this, but also on behalf of 700 of our neighbors.
Sí, y vivo aquí por 18 años.
And I've lived here for 18 years.
Sí, y esto me ha afectado porque sí he visto yo bastante el incremento en mi bill, que ha sido casi por $250. Más que todo yo pensé que era por el mes de diciembre, pero me continuó llegando así.
And I've been very much affected by this. I've seen my bill rise to $250, and I thought that was just for the month of December, but that's continued.
Y también he platicado con los vecinos y también ellos, más que todos, son de la tercera edad.
And I've also spoken with my neighbors, and a lot of them are senior citizens.
Y ellos están preocupados por el bill que a ellos les vaya a subir.
And they are worried about their bills also going up.
Y nomás estoy incrementando y escuchando y les doy gracias porque yo sé que todos estamos en la misma página y interesados a que todos los de la comunidad tengamos un bill que podamos pagar.
And I appreciate hearing all this. I feel like we are all on the same page in finding a way that the community can afford their water bills.
Y estar aquí me hizo también tener unas respuestas a unas preguntas que teníamos.
Being here has also allowed me to have some responses to some of the questions we've gotten.
Y lo único que quiero pues hacerles saber, como yo que tengo mucho contacto con la comunidad, que no dejemos de pensar de las familias vulnerables y no dejemos de pensar de las personas que ahora son senior, que ahora son retiradas. E incluso yo tengo muchas aquí atrás que son retiradas y están con ese miedo del aumento, a pesar que ya tenemos el aumento de los alimentos y tenemos el aumento de lo que es la renta.
And I want to encourage us to continue thinking about those families that are most vulnerable, those folks that are senior citizens, many of them who are here and behind me, and those who are retired. Not only do we have increasing grocery bills and rent bills, but now we're facing this, and they're very much afraid.
Y gracias por este tiempo que se han tomado, tanto como para responder a muchas preguntas de nosotros.
And thank you for taking the time to respond to our questions.
No más quiero darles feliz noche y que pues se acuerden, porque yo todos los días hablo con un senior de la ciudad y hay muchos de ustedes que están aquí que me conocen, que yo trato más que todo con la comunidad.
And so I want to thank you and wish you a good evening and ask you to remember those seniors. I talk to one all the time here in the city, and all of you know that I speak very much with all the seniors and all the folks in the city.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Adelaida Mamangala. Am I saying that right?
Somebody understand Tagalog?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your name, sir?
Magandang gabi po, Mayor, kagalang-galang Mayor, kagalang-galang na Vice Mayor, at lahat po ng mga nandito. Ako po si Leonardo M. Montesa. Ako po ay tumututol sa pagtaas ng tubig. Dahil unang-una, yung sahod ko, konti lang, 600 lang. Kasi yung renta ko sa bahay, 600 lang. Kapag tumaas pa yan, lalo ako may stress dahil na-stroke po ako. Yun lang po ang sinasahod ko sa disability amount, 600 sa Social Security.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, please. Excuse me. I understand a little bit, konti lang, pero I don't understand everything you're saying, and I want to get the full translation.
Oh.
So I need an
sorry,
interpreter to interpret.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Honorable Mayor, good evening. Ano sabihin? Asan ang pangalan mo?
Ako si Leonardo. Sinabi ko na po sa Leonardo M. Montesa.
Ang sahod niya,
Hindi po, sarili kong opinion.
his salary is just 600 a month, and this will be affected in his life as a disability. He's only receiving $600 a month in disability, so it will greatly affect his livelihood. Go on.
Kaya po ako tumututol sa pagtaas ng tubig. Ako ay nakasali sa Faith in Action. Ako ay pumunta dito para...
That is why, Your Honor, he is protesting this increase. And he is also a member in Faith in Action Bay Area. Go ahead. Sige. Tuloy.
Yun lang po.
Oh, that's it, Your Honor.
Okay.
So he's protesting this increase.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
to the Honorable Member of the Council, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Montera. Melissa Naia? Melissa, come on up. Hi.
I'm a little nervous.
That's all right.
So if I stutter, I am so sorry. Hello, good afternoon or good evening. My name is Melissa Mejia. I'm a leader with Faith in Action and Faith in Action Youth Group. I am a member at Jefferson High School. I'm a junior, and I'm here because I heard that they were increasing the water bill. And I'm here to oppose to the increase because it's going to affect me and other people that I'm helping with in the community. We are already facing high food cost and rent, and an additional increase in the water will be a big burden on the community because it's going to affect students like me thinking about, how is my mom going to pay for the water bill? How are my siblings going to be affected by the less amount of food that we're going to get because our parents are working 2 jobs and not being able to pay rent for our clothes, their own clothes, their personal hygiene? It's a struggle to see parents struggling with this because you can't help. And it hurts to see my parents struggle, and that's not only my parents. I see elders struggle, I see my friends' parents struggle, and I just think that increasing it will affect a lot of families. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for saying. All right, we have Chris Pereira.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Evening.
My name is Chris. I am a leader of Faith in Action Bay Area. I lived in Daly City for 10 years. I'm a student at San Francisco State University. My major is psychology. I've been part of Faith in Action over 6 years, and throughout this couple months, we've been door knocking to almost 800 doors in our neighborhoods. And most of our neighborhoods are seniors who have fixed income, and with this increase of water, with their fixed income, they're really scared that they won't be able to afford it. I know some seniors who live 5 people in one home where they all have to share the bill because the rent is so high. Not only now they're afraid for the food to not be able to enter the home, but now the water is not going to be disposed. I mean, me myself, I like long showers, so I feel like that's one of the things that people won't take advantage more anymore, especially if that is hygiene for everybody, you know. So that will be all for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That's the last speaker card, so can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Can I get a second?
Glenn Sylvester, second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'd like to take the opportunity at this time to thank everyone who came tonight to express your concern on what we're about to make a decision upon. I'd like to thank staff for your report. I'd like to start off by saying the increase in all goods and services to even include our most valuable commodities such as water is inevitable. It's going to happen. However, I am in empathy based upon the other issues that our citizens had to endure the past couple of years, to include the pandemic, food insecurity, the increase of sanitation, and etc. I'm very empathetic. I was completely surprised to hear tonight that our previous bills have gone up 9.5% every year, and this year's going up 4%. I am definitely concerned. I've learned that there's a resource out there based upon the website that our staff gave for those who can apply for some sort of reprieve in the cost of their water bill. But what I did not hear from this website is who are they going to accommodate? I've learned tonight about the disabled. I've learned tonight about those with fixed income. I've learned tonight about those who are seniors. Not all seniors are the same. There are some seniors who have been in their homes and have been in there for quite some time. And subsequently, there's a term, house rich, but cash poor. I will reiterate once again, I think our city needs to take more of an initiative that in cases such as this, the increase in water rates, that we offer some sort of condolence in the sense of where you can go in case these rates go up. That has not been done yet to my satisfaction. And therefore, I feel that I cannot really make a decision this evening. I think we should defer this so that we can obtain this additional information for our citizens here in Daly City. Those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for all those that spoke in the audience this evening. You know, hearing directly from each and every one of you and coming up here is very important as a public official and hearing directly from your voices. So I just want to acknowledge each and every one of you, and from young to old. I see the youth to the elders here this evening. And I understand and hear the concerns around the needs of the community. And so I think, and I've asked it before, I wanted to know whether or not there were programs for older adults, and then also if the programs that we had funded through our, in the past, like we've allocated millions of dollars to support those in need for housing, for rental assistance, and also for utilities. I'm gonna ask staff if it's possible to find out if those allocations that we sent over to the Daly City Community Service Center, if those allocations are still in place. Also, I think in regards to this issue, I would ask staff if there was a way, if you can share with me, Director Cosgrove, when is the anticipated start date of the increase?
July 1st.
July 1st, like just at the beginning. So what I would actually ask for is if staff looks at starting this at a later date, what impact would that be? To give people a little bit of reprieve, I want to understand how that impacts the city.
Yeah. If we were to, say, delay the increase, one of the challenges that we would face is you would see a higher increase in the out years. So we do have a model where we can kind of move things around and see what it looks like. One of the reasons why we had a 4% across the board was so that it kind of smoothed those increases. So if we did, say, defer for 6 months, again, I don't know off the top of my head what the numbers would be. We can look at that, but you would see higher increases in the out years, if you know what I mean, because the costs are still going to come in, is what happens when you defer the increases now to the later dates.
Okay, thank you. And I guess this is my question for City Manager Piccoletti. Is there any way we can assess the dollars that I know we allocated towards the Daly City Community Service Center for assistance with utilities and also for needs with rental income?
Yes, the answer through the chair?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we will.
Because if that is available to the community, I think something we need to look towards is actually looking at other agencies, if they have programs for low-income individuals or older adults. How do they manage those programs? You know, I mean, the state has an opportunity for people to apply to, But how do other jurisdictions do it if there is programs of that sort to assist folks that are in need and are on fixed incomes, whether they're families, individuals, or older adults? That's something I think we should look into. So am I hearing, Director Cosgrove, that if we were to delay this towards the end of the year, then the increases, there would still be increases because of the need for infrastructure?
Yes, the rate structure builds in the required revenue that we need to pay for instance, the water from San Francisco, to just operate and maintain the system, with our regular salaries and the salary increases that are happening, and then the capital programs. Those do need to be paid, whether it's now or whether it's later. They do need to be paid, and so if we defer it, it just means a more sizable increase as you get down the way, which is really actually what happened in the previous rate structure, the one where we talked about the 6.5 and then the 9.5s. The previous years, there were very low adjustments to the water rates, low increases, and so we had those sizable ones because of that. So again, it's just one of the difficulties when you try to build these rate structures. Typically, you want to try to smooth rates out so that people can plan easier, rather than having kind of swings of up and down. That's kind of what can happen when you do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
One more time through the chair.
Yes.
We will look both locally and at the state level for all the possible assistance that we can provide.
Okay, thank you. And then when we find out the assistance, if we can share that with the community at large, and ensure that they have access to that, whether it's directly on their water bill so that they can, they don't have to call us. It's actually right there for assistance.
We'll get the message in the bills.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair, I would like to find out the main contact with Faith in Action. I would love to be able to talk to them about this program and see if we can work with them to help as many people as possible. So
That'd be great.
if I could, thank you.
Dr. Rod, do you have any other conclusion?
I just want to thank Faith in Action for coming and for all the letters that you provided. I think what that does is that it gives a face, a human face, and a human element to the real-time ramifications of what happens to these different rates. And I'm just going to be honest. When I'm on the committee, I look at these rates, and it just seems like a foregone conclusion, like it's all good, right? And so you still, when you see the letters, you see the people that get affected, and I also want to commend my my colleagues on the dais for providing different ideas and different perspectives of what can we do to help out our seniors, our most vulnerable folks in our communities. So thank you for providing that perspective that, sometimes I have privileges that give me blinders that I don't see.
Thank you, Dr. Rod. So I too want to thank all the public comment, especially the members of Faith in Action, for coming today. Your comments are meaningful to us, and these rate increases we take them seriously, and we obviously had a subcommittee. We met and they discussed, and staff, I think, has done a good job at trying to, as much as you can, ameliorate some of these increases and made it a bit more manageable. No rate increase is, going to be welcome, but Daly City has good water, and we have good water for a reason. And I think we're very proud of the water we have. We can drink out of the tap, and it's something that we're known for, and it's in large part due to our management of our water in Daly City. Going back to some of the discussions we have, I think a 9 cent increase and what has been categorized as a fair increase, I think that is something I accept. Again, even though no increase is welcome, but we do have to govern. We have to govern for everybody in the city, and we have to keep continuing to preserve and protect our water. So with that, I would make the motion to approve this item. Can I get a second? Hearing no second, then this item is, it dies on the dice. So, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I can propose a motion.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion that we delay raising the rates for a period of a minimum of 3 months so that a follow-up can be conducted as to the additional resources that are available for those who will be, well, actually everyone's going to be affected, but the most vulnerable, to include the disabled, fixed income, seniors.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Cosgrove.
Thank you, through the chair. May I propose that we table, if you will, this item to the next meeting? One of the challenges we have is we wanted to try to prepare this for July 1. But I would appreciate the opportunity to try to capture all the comments that I've received and the questions and try to bring this for you again. Obviously, if the city manager agrees.
If I may, through the chair. Currently, this item is a public hearing, and to preserve the integrity of the public hearing, if we are considering to have further dialogue with this subject, we probably can continue it to a date certain rather than table it indefinitely.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Sylvester, I think he said for 3 months.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, for a minimum of 3 months, and during that time, if we have to set this matter before the public again, we would have all the information available to us so that we can make a decision at that time. Yeah, I mean, if you could do it sooner, that's good enough for me.
Well, so that's the motion on the.
I would probably propose, 3 months is a long period of time for continuance of the public hearing. You could propose a shorter time frame, if possible, and to have a date certain. So I would get through the chair, we look at possibly a month. Would that be a sufficient amount of time?
Well, I would try to get this on the next council meeting, which is the second or the fourth Monday in June. That's what I would prefer to try to do and get this information as soon as I can.
Okay, so, well, we have the motion by Mr. Sylvester. Does Mr. Sylvester want to keep that motion, modify it, withdraw it, or what?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I was concerned about staff and their ready, willing, and ableness to perform. If you feel that you can do it within, was it a month or the next council meeting?
Next council meeting.
I'm good with it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so then the motion is to defer this to the next council meeting. Is that good enough, Madam City Attorney?
Yes, so we are looking at the June 26th council meeting.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call?
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Rod,
Yes.
Manalo,
I just want to mention that just making sure that we have all the items around programs, specifying the state, and also possible programs that are around other cities. So I'm voting aye on that, but ensuring that we find the resources for the community. Thank you.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Aye. All right, let's go on to board appointments under board commission membership committee appointments. Any appointments?
I have a
Go ahead,
appointment.
Dr. Rod.
I'd like to appoint Judor Tronco. I've known him over the past decade. He's a close friend of mine. He's also a lifelong Daly City resident who's been a servant to the community. and he served in various nonprofits such as Pinoy Pinay Educational Partnerships in San Francisco, OMI Excelsior Beacon Center, my YEEP program. He's also was an intern for the Urban Habitat Boards and Commission Leadership Program. And he was also an intern for District 5 Supervisor David Canepa a couple of years ago. And I'd like to appoint him to the Library Board of Trustees.
Second?
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, he is appointed. Any others? Nope. Any other appointments? Nope. All right, let's go to council committee reports. Any council committee reports?
I do.
Go ahead.
I went to the past Peninsula Clean Energy update, Peninsula Clean, PCE, okay? Went to the last PCE meeting last month, and just some highlights. PCE went to a annual conference with other CPUS, other clean energy co-ops throughout the state, and they were awarded a couple of impact awards, such as the Community Impact Award for Equity. They were also a runner-up in the decarbonization category with REACH Coach initiatives. Another highlight of that meeting was we finally approved the diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusive practices. And I just want to commend my fellow people on the committee, which is Carlos Romero from East Palo Alto, Sam Hindi from Foster City, Michael Robinson, who was a former council member from Redwood City, and Chair Donna Colson. And also the PCE staff, Jan Pepper, Christine Andrew Schwinn, and Shayna Barnes. One thing that was that stood out to me was that usually when we talk about DEI policies, it just gets stuck in terms of a policy, but implementation becomes something that gets lost in the sauce, as people would say. And one thing that was very important to me was that we could have done the bare minimum, but we did the maximum. And what they did was that through the consultants, through their consultants and also the staff, they focused on 43 points. And I'm not gonna go through every 43 points. I'll go through the top 6 things that they did. Okay, so one of the areas of focus was that they focused on organization culture and DEI commitment. So whatever they had in terms of business practices, policies, and programs, that they thoroughly look at people who and organizations that live up to their DEI policy. They're looking at human resources, staffing, recruitment, so they create a workforce that is representative and to provide equitable access to employment opportunities for underrepresented members of the communities, training and development to the staff and also the board, energy program development implementation. So they define energy equity and set goals and metrics for achieving it through their programs, marketing, and also looking at vendors in terms of diversity and social responsibility. And so that was one highlight. The other highlight was we also were looking at the budget for the next 5 years, and PCE is actually looking at a budget surplus from about $126 million for next year to about $9 million the following year to about $48 million. And so PCE is not in the business of making profit. And so what is proposed is that we're going to have a subcommittee to do what we can do with the surplus. So that for Daly City, the reason why that's important is that we're one of the largest cities in the county, and we should have a lot more say in terms of what we can do in terms of providing more clean energy to Daly City and more programming to serve our communities. And we're also in the process of looking at our new CEO, which we'll find out in very, very soon. So Jan Pepper, who has been the CEO since the inception, is now stepping down, and we're in the process of looking at some finalists. So probably by the next council meeting, I probably might find out who will be the next CEO for PC. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Rod. Any other council committee reports? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to report that I was at the CCAG Board of Directors meeting on June 8th, and some of the major approvals were reauthorizing the congestion management plan. Also, the approval of $1.2 million for Ready Wheels and Senior Older Adult Transportation Program. For Madam City Clerk, I will also share the CCAG Congestion Management Environmental Quality Committee that I sit on. And for the record, on that committee advocated for the continuity of the following shuttles. Ensuring that the BART shuttle from Seton, from Seton to BART and from BART to Seton for our seniors and workers remain. Also advocated for the Bayshore shuttle for its continuity to support our Bayshore residents, and also the shuttle from Daly City BART to Skyline College for our students. Thank you very much, and that's it for the committee reports.
Okay, any other council? Go ahead, Mr. Sabet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to let everyone know I attended the San Mateo California ID Remote Access Network. For those of you who don't know, that pertains to identification through live scan of fingerprints to identify folks. And basically every police department, strives to get one of these units. However, the committee does provide them and or provides a mechanism for those to obtain fingerprints at a very low cost of $5. I'm glad to be amongst quite a few responsible folks and well-known folks, such as the police chief of San Mateo, the police chief of Burlingame, the San Mateo County District Attorney, and I'm so proud to be a part of this group, to be amongst them. This past meeting, we had introductions, and we have a new member who has joined us, and that's Sheriff Christina Corpus of the San Mateo County Sheriff's Department. So we look forward to big and great things happening, and especially in the area of obtaining information and providing that information so that law enforcement can do their jobs. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Let's go on to city council reports. How about city council report? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For city council reports, I want to share that last month on AAPI Heritage Month, I accepted and received a proclamation from Supervisor David Canepa, along with other community-based organizations, with the Filipino Mental Health Initiative, OCA, and countless others. Also, I attended the Jefferson Elementary School Board of Trustee meeting. It was the last meeting for Superintendent Vernie Vidales, in which we provided a certificate of commendation. Also, that same week, attended an event at Stanford University, hosting the Alvarado Project. Really just amazing photographs from a Filipino-American photographer that really captured so many communities' essence, from the Black African-American community in the Fillmore to the farm worker community, and just really showed the multicultural, and also just how the Bay Area, San Francisco, just from the lens of an everyday person. From also, some of the photographs also include when he was in service, and during that time, the positions that they can hold were only in the being a cook. And so it's also just showing the times and how times have changed over the course of decades. Also on Memorial Day, joined the mayor of San Bruno, Mayor Medina, and other San Bruno council members at the National Cemetery to commemorate all those who risked their lives for our freedom today. We had a handful of veterans that were still in their 90s. Some World War II veterans, like a couple World War II veterans, very rare today. And so they call that the greatest generation. So it was an honor to meet with them as well. Also, the Jefferson Union High School adult education graduation happened. And it was really a wonderful graduation because they weren't unable to have physical graduations or even attend it because of the pandemic. So congratulations to the class of 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. And, it's a huge feat, as many of them received their GEDs and also has English as a second language. So it was really filled with families and individuals on really a celebratory day. And then, let's see, I am gonna go on. And then on, June 1st, with the leadership of Mayor Benventura, along with my colleagues, we raised the Progress Pride flag. And it was definitely well attended, and want to thank a lot of the staff. I mean, it was a full house. And so really it was amazing to see everyone together in solidarity. And then also on June 2nd, that was Donut with a Cup. And I was able to join National Donut Day at Happy Donuts. And that was really great to be with community and our police officers, greeting the community members, and also our city manager was there, as well as our assistant to city manager, Leilani. I did not eat a donut, for the record. And then also on June 3rd, I was able to attend in Aegis, South San Francisco. There was a program that was in collaboration with youth and seniors. They raised money to provide an opportunity for pets therapy for the seniors. So it was really, really heartwarming to see the young people being so thoughtful to raise money for the seniors so that they would have a program for pet therapy. So it was all warm fuzzies all around. So congratulations to those youth. It was in Aegis, and it was youth from all over North County. And then, oh my goodness, I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Rod, for your leadership in bringing together the Daly City Chinese Youth Committee. The Children's Day at Gellert Park was really, really amazing. I thought it was super well attended, and thank you to Spicy Garden for providing the food, and then also just all of the cultural activities, from the lion dancing to the Chinese calligraphy, to the lantern making. and it being student-led from Jefferson High School and Westmore High School leadership. I know, Leilani, you were helping coordinate with them. It was definitely something that needs to continue on an annual basis. And then also, just wanted to say thank you to the city manager for his foresight around community engagement and really creating a platform out there, going out in the community. So, you know, it was wonderful to see him in action at Marchbanks Park, all the way, you know, try to catch them up Policita, but this is a hands-on city manager that we have. So I just want to say thank you to you and your entire team for continuing to hear directly from our community members. And also on June 8th, that's what I talked about earlier, the CCAG event. I also wanted to acknowledge that I was able to attend the Filipino Bar Association of Northern California, you know, and just be able to see the new leadership there. Amongst the event there, of course, our city attorney, Rose Zimmerman, was present. At that same evening, the San Mateo County API Caucus Heroes event happened to honor many community members that have given to the API community, leaders from really igniting and pushing forth programs to stop AAPI hate, to the California API Legislative Caucus on the state level with Assemblymember Evan Lowe, and also with organizations like OCA that have been in existence for the Asian American community for also many decades. And then the following day, I think that's why my voice is going away. It's been very busy. There was the Pacific Islanders Day at San Mateo County Fair with, you know, our leader, Rita, at the helm, and was able to join the prayer there, and also just the cultural dances, as well as my high school friend, Mali'i. If some of you were Jefferson High School sports during my era, that would be 1994 to 1998. He was also part of the football team. He's now, and Director Piccolati knows him very well, is a singer of a band, and it's pretty amazing. I didn't get to catch him, but I got the video and catch him next time. And that was at Pacific Islanders Together Day. And I want to just say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me the opportunity to share a proclamation, Mayor Bonaventura, and giving me the authority to hand out a proclamation as Vice Mayor to honor Pacific Islanders Together on Saturday. And that is it. I thank you for your time.
Any other city council reports? Go ahead, Dr. Rob.
On June 11th, I attended the 32nd annual Westlake School of Performing Arts Gala. Amazing show by young people, aspiring artists, and seeing a lot of these students that have graduated and now are going to elite schools in the performing arts, such as USC to Juilliard to Long Beach State. And to see them perform on stage for the very last time was beautiful. I've known a lot of these kids since they were like 5 or 6 years old. Now they're like 17, 18 years old. And that was such a beautiful thing. And then piggybacking off of the vice mayor, I just want to give a big shout out to Leilani for helping out with the Chinese American youth event, along with Denise for helping out as well in making that first annual event possible. I know it was like months in the making, and I believe it was like 9 months in the making. It's like a labor of love. So, and then I just want to invite the whole community to tomorrow when we have the Philippine flag raising tomorrow here at City Hall, June 13th at 11 a.m. I guess, and food will be provided by PBRC,
Yeah.
Filipino Biennial Resource Center. And that's it from me.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Rod. Any other city council reports? Go ahead, Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended quite a few events this past month, and I'm only going to talk about two of them. One was the SMC API caucus, to which I'm one of the founding members of that caucus, and a couple of my colleagues as well. That was a great time to be around other elected officials throughout San Mateo County, and to come around to the idea of bringing awareness to Asian Pacific Islanders. The following day, and this is very special to me, and that was Polynesian Day at the San Mateo County Fair. You know, I've been a resident of Daly City for over 35 years, and I've been down to the county fairgrounds maybe 6 times. The last 4 times was because of the Polynesian Day at the fair. I feel personally responsible in the sense that I was responsible for the inclusion of Ms. Raina Mayafua, who's a South San Francisco resident, and later on, Teresa Fa'apua, who's a Daly City resident, to become part of the board. And I think what the problem with San Mateo County Fair, and it's gotten better, was there wasn't North County representation. So it's coming along very well. Every year it gets better. Matter of fact, this year we had a special reception for all North County electeds who were there at the fair. And when I went into the jockey room, and it says no host bar. And I kind of lost my thought and said, no host bar, does that mean it's free? She said, yeah, it's free. Well, I had 2 Cokes. So needless to say, I'm sure it's going to get better later on in the future. I wanted to bring up 3 other items, and it's not basically appearance, but a revisit on a couple of suggestions that I made last council meeting. One was the inclusion of language into the union's proposal to we have representatives from the union here, and if we can revisit that so that we can add the language that to add union labor, if possible, to any projects that come to this city. The second issue I had requested last month is that we do an update on Marchbank Parks to determine, based upon a speaker who appeared, a follow-up to ascertain what the parking problem is. And now the last item I'm requesting tonight to be agendized is an update on the King Plaza issue pertaining to the parking management plan that we approved and what is going on at the present time in the sense of the litigation to which Daly City has become a part of. So I'm requesting an update on that. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, any other city council reports? Go ahead, Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. In addition, along the same lines of Council Member Dr. Rod Dasmagbual, with his invitation tomorrow, today actually is Philippine Independence Day. And so just wanted to say happy Philippine Independence Day, and that's why I'm wearing Philippine attire this evening. Also wanted to mention that in regards to the housing element, I did reach out to the city manager and staff in regards to the language to include the union language that was requested in the past. So I just wanted to note for the record that there was a direct request to the city manager and also to the staff that is involved, the planning staff in that regard. And with that, thank you very much.
All right. Any other city council reports? Hearing none. How about staff? Staff reports.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Honorable Mayor. The Personnel Board met Thursday for the first time in a while, and Vice Mayor Manalo swore in new Personnel Board member Marion Mann. So that was a monumental event. I'll just go over a couple things. I appreciate the fact that Leilani and Denise were recognized for their work. It seems like ever since I've been here, they were working on that, because you brought it up early on in my tenure. So they did a great job, and I think there were others, specifically Opal, handling the food. So I think those are some things that I just wanted to point out real quick. I might be repetitive, I might echo. Coffee with a Cop. I did get to the earlier one at Krispy Kreme, and the line was out the door. And I could not believe all those people were there to see the acting police chief and his staff, but turns out it was free donut day as well. So the turnout was great. So good timing on the date there. We, as Vice Mayor said, my staff and I, 3 interpreters have been out in the field, 6 different locations last week, and we were able to get some meet and greets and elicit some good feedback, which, as we finish our sessions throughout the city, we'll be providing a report at a later date that we can share, and some of the things that we're going to incorporate and make some good suggestions, whether it be at the staff level or whether it be some things that we can do moving forward. So those are important. The Vice Mayor was able to join us, and all the council members are welcome at any of those events. That's why we provided the schedule. The other thing is, I just want to say that tomorrow at the county supervisor meeting, on the agenda is a $148,000 Measure K grant for our defibrillators in and around City Hall and city facilities. So hopefully that'll pass tomorrow, and then we'll be able to celebrate that. But that's a grant that Supervisor Canepa has put on the agenda for Daly City specifically, and we have already installed the defibrillators around City Hall and other areas. So hopefully the grant goes through. And that's all I have, so thank you.
Thank you, Director Piccolotti. All right, so we are now at the adjourn in memory. Do we have any adjourn in memories?
I have one.
Go ahead, Dr. Roy.
As a lifelong professional wrestling fan, I'd like to close in memory of the Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik, whose real name was Hussein Khosrow Ali Vaziri. He transcended the realm of sports entertainment with his larger-than-life persona, incredible charisma, and unparalleled in-ring skills. He captivated audiences around the globe. He was a trailblazer, breaking barriers and paving the way for a diverse range of wrestlers who followed in his footsteps. Beyond the glitz and glamour of the squared circle, the Iron Sheik was a man of immense passion and dedication. He embodied resilience. He overcame countless challenges in his life, both inside and outside the wrestling ring. His journey from a small village in Iran to becoming one of the most recognizable heels or figures in the world of wrestling is a testament to his unwavering determination. I feel like if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't know household names like Hulk Hogan. It takes a really bad guy to make a really, really good guy. And I want to close in memory of his legacy, the Iron Sheik.
All right, any others? Hearing none, let's just take a moment of silence to honor him. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Did you see him?
Yeah.
You did?